Hello, Truth and Love. Welcome to another session of Let's Talk About It. My name is Letitia Lewis, and this is.
Brother Trey Carnes.
And we're here to talk about service on today. It was so good.
Man, I'm telling you, it was fantastic. All the way down from the prayer starting off, all the way to the praise. You know, Ablaze did their thing as always.
Yes.
Man, it was great. It was great.
It was awesome. And we had a special treat today.
Absolutely.
Lady C.
Yes.
She was talking with Pastor today. And the name of the message is What 17 Years Has Taught Us.
That's a long time.
17 years.
That is a long time. But we always have like such a special word every time Lady C gets the microphone.
Absolutely.
And it was fantastic. And you know, like Letitia, like, you know, someone that is engaged, you know, what did the word do for you with that? What 17 years has taught us? Like, what did you get out of that?
I think I like the authenticity, the transparency. A lot of times people kind of gloss over marriage and act like everything is just, you know, roses and butterflies all the time. But them really being honest and truthful with us to let us know that there are been some hard times, some lessons that you have to learn. And they had to have some compromises, some disagreements, and some, you know, hard conversations. So it's really allowed me to like, okay, you know, when I get married and, you know, we might not agree on something, that this is normal, you know, and that we can get through this. And this is not the worst thing ever, that other people have disagreements and they get through it. So we can do it too.
Man,
so it's really,
that's good.
It's really, really good information to get.
That's good. And just one thing you said, like, you know, just with them showing that, you know, there are things you have to work on. You know, I don't know why this world just feels like, you know, marriage is just perfection.
Yeah,
it's not. It's not. It's two individuals that's coming together that are building themselves and building their family off of God. So man, that's awesome. So, you know, just kind of getting into some points and stuff. Help a sister out by abiding. You know, that really did a lot of great things for me, you know, especially having a wife and being 2.5 years into our marriage. I really tried to hone in on a lot of things that Pastor Cobie and Lady C were saying. Absolutely. Yeah. Help a sister out by analyzing. You know, Pastor said, you know, he's a Camillaologist. You know, I love that because I'm like, man, I want to be that person that, you know, just analyzes my wife, you know, to the point of where, you know, just a certain smile that she makes or a certain frown she makes, I know exactly which one it is before she even, you know, opens up her mouth. You know, like how did that, you know, how was that for you?
That was very good. I think one thing that my fiance always said that he likes to study me. And I think that's important because as you get to know people and you spend time together, you do study them. You do know when, like, okay, something not quite right, or, okay, you know, like Pastor says, is this a good time to talk? And First Lady said, do I talk now or do I be quiet? Do I wait? So I think it's important to really study your partner, you know, to see what's going on with them, to not just be focused on you, but like, okay, what's going on with them? Like something's kind of off, because a lot of times it's signs and things that occur before the big argument. Before, if you're paying attention, you can tell like, okay, this person ain't been talking to me in a whole week, or it's been off, or they haven't been at themselves. And I think that was important for me to know. Help a sister out by being accountable. I thought that was awesome. The energy that I used to try to change him, I can use to love him. And I remember Pastor had said that, and I was like, wait a minute now. And I was like, that's right. Because energy, giving your energy is so much, and it could be exhausting. And instead of trying to change a person, you can love them through that. And like Pastor C said, Lady Camilla said that, you know, God has to change that person, and you just pray for them, and you just ask God to help them to build up to be the person that God has called them to be for you, instead of you trying to change it, because it's exhausting. Absolutely. So I thought that was just excellent, because I think sometimes we think that we can change people, and I'm going to change them, and I'm going to nag them to death, and I'm going to keep talking about stuff that's going to make them want to do something that they don't want to do, but just to pray for them and to love them through that. I thought that was just awesome, because I'm sure I'm going to need that when I get married.
Absolutely. One quote that Pastor quoted, affection is the cement of a relationship by Willard Hartley. You know, that really touched me, because it's like, okay, when you lay something down like pavement, it needs cement like in between as well to keep it together. You know, even that strong pavement, you know, it's on the ground. If it doesn't have that that cement down as well with it, it's gonna be unstable.
Absolutely.
So I just felt like, man, like if affection is the cement of a relationship, that means that you can have a strong relationship, but if there's no affection behind it, it can waver, it can move, you know. And I just, man, and that really did a lot for me because, you know, like I said, being young in marriage and everything, that really touched me because it really went to show like I have to make effort to show affection. I have to make effort to show my love. You know, even though, you know, I love my wife and this and that, you know, I have to also show it in action as well. To show that the affection is the cement in my relationship.
Absolutely.
So I love that. I love that so much.
That was a very good quote. Another, they're talking about how to tear down walls in a marriage, and I think that was very important because as coming in as you know, I'm single and I'm newly engaged, that sometimes you have a lot of residue from past you know, relationships, past experience, childhood, and just to really like as Lady C, make sure that you're a whole person, you know, before you meet the other person. You don't want to bring you know, we already got baggage as it is, but things that we can actually work on and that we don't have to carry into that relationship to make sure that, you know, our relationship can be the best it can be, is that we be the best person that we can be before we even get into a relationship, before we even get married, you know. And so that was like, that's really true. Like, that's one thing that you can like try to counteract, is that like make sure that I'm a whole person, that I'm not looking for this other person to complete me or to be everything to me, that God is my everything, that I'm content with him. So then when he brings that other person, then I'm gonna be okay because I have God.
That's good. That's
so
really good.
I really love that when they talked about that.
When you're talking about the singles, you know, one thing that Sister Jewel that she said that really stuck with me, they were talking about basically like, you know, broken pieces. You know, if you're not whole and, you know, two people are broken and they're in pieces, you know, when they try to come together, you know, they're gonna get cut. So I think that's extremely important that, you know, before you get into anything, that you allow for God to make you whole, so that you don't cut your significant other with things that they don't even know that you're going through. So that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Like, ooh, was I hit? Was I hit? And then what Lady C is, love them in the midst of their scars. And when she talked about how Pastor can love her in the midst of her scars, that's when she knew that their marriage had became better. And I was just like, that's awesome, because we're always trying to be you know, what God wants to be, but we always gonna have some work to do, and we always gonna have some scars. And as much as we work and we try, we always gonna have some things that we're still working on. But just having someone to know that they love you past in the midst of your scars, that it's not gonna change how they feel about you. And she can say that 17 years later. I was just like, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And I just thank God that we have an awesome example here at Truth and Love with our pastors.
Man, yeah, it literally like put tears in my eyes just to hear that, you know, just, you know, because I know that was like such a touchy thing, and you know, it just goes to show like insecurities are real, you know, for the man and the woman.
Absolutely.
And I feel like, you know, that goes back into the affection is the cement of the relationship, because, you know, just voicing that affection, it can do so much for our spouse, you know, and that's why I just feel like, you know, it's so important. It truly is. And just piggybacking off of you, and just, you know, when Lady C really tackled a lot of things, I loved what she said when she said, you can have people praying for you, but God wants you to pray.
Yeah, that's
you know,
good.
I looked at myself, because when I was in, you know, my season of struggle and this and that, you know, people were praying for me and stuff, but it was so hard for me to pray for myself. Because it was like, I guess it was like I was kind of embarrassed to go to God on my own, you know? And I loved how she really like showed the importance of that. Like, you know, people can pray for you all the time, but you have to have that moment. You have to have that time with God. You know, she said for 4 years she was in the closet. She was in the closet. That was beautiful, man.
That was definitely amazing. I definitely agree. That was one of the moments too, because sometimes we're guilty. Pray for me, but have you prayed for God?
Oh man.
Have you prayed, you know, to God yourself because he wants to hear your heart, like she said. And that's how you develop relationship with him, to know that he's actually able to do the things that you're praying about.
Absolutely.
And, he'll change you in that prayer, in that quality time. Like when First Lady was in there praying for those 4 years, I believe she said it was, I'm sure she knew God at a whole different level. She seen him in a whole new light.
That's
that
good.
It came easy for her to pray for certain things because she had spent so much time with him. And also just to be able to hear from God, as the more time, just like in a relationship, the more time you spend with them, the more time you study them, the more time whatever, same as God, you'll know that his voice, you'll know what he want to do. And so I think that was important to know that, she studied God.
Wow.
In that time she, laid before him and say, okay, I'm okay, but I'm gonna go in this closet and I'm gonna get it out. And I think that's just great.
So important.
Great. That was so awesome. And I was just so needed and necessary for her to say, for us to know that, yes, it's okay to ask, but you need to make sure that you have your own personal relationship with God and that you pray to him as well.
Absolutely. And that's so important.
Yeah.
Just like you said, like that 4 years, she built that relationship with God, in her singleness as well. She said before she met Pastor Cobie. And I think that's extremely important for us to have that relationship with God before we get into anything else.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because, we have to have that relationship with the Father first before we can have a relationship with anyone else. So, man, it was a great service.
It was very great. Y'all, we can just sit here and talk about this forever. We talked about contentment and learning to be content in our singleness and waiting to God to bless us. And it was just an amazing message, and it has so many good nuggets that we want to take from with us, to take it home, to sleep on it, to look at it later. And we just thank you for tuning in with us on this session of Let's Talk About It. Put your comments down saying, what did you learn? What was good that you focus on in the comments? And we just want to say that here comes the church.